I'm also a family man, and I'm like this, and like it's like, I guess just being the music guy has had so many more reps. Like I've just been doing this for so long that it's kind of hard to like, and that's kind of maybe why we obsess about these things at night, and we think about things when we should have been checking out. And it's really it's difficult because we're on a journey, because this is like important part of our lives. You know what I mean? So it's like the separation is not easy.
No, thanks for sharing that. I'm actually like, I love going deep on stuff. I'm an oversharer by nature. Like, I'll talk about basically
I've become an oversharer through podcasting.
Yeah, but no, it's for sure like the whole a big like ongoing thing with me and most people in their late 20s to late 30s, like that generation, I think is like just identifying as your work in general. You know what I mean? Like whether you're a musician, audio producer, whatever, right? Like cabinet maker, I don't know. Like people just get really, it's like society and the whole culture is like, what do you do?
Right.
Well, I'm this for work. Like this is what I do for my job. But you're like, that's not who you are. That's not what you do. Like you do lots of things, right? Like you're a dad. You probably have like hobbies, or did before you were a dad at least, because now you're dadding all the time.
Yeah.
Like, like you have like, there's like a whole thing. You have family, you have interests, but that's not how we identify ourselves, just because we live in capitalist society where the job is sort of the most important thing. So you need the money to do the things, and
Yeah.
It's just,
I think I think you're right. I think also like millennials who are raised by boomers, you know what I mean? Kind of that thing in North America.
For sure,
Canada and America are very similar.
Yeah.
In that sense. And I would say like even as like a Jew, like a New York Jew, like that is like that productivity thing.
Yeah.
Is like so intense. Like it's just like I have to do that. I have to check off that box. I have to like, and it's like, man, and then you're like stuck in lockdown and you can't work and nobody's coming over to the studio, and you're at the park and you should be happy as a lark. But like you're just like thinking about, why am I not working?
100%.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
I know, it's crazy.
I should be happy.
That was the biggest thing when I was a runner and doing like, I basically, the studio was my main job, but it wasn't like no salary. It was just like I paid when I worked. So if you didn't have a session for 2 weeks, like at one point I lived with another buddy who's also a runner at the studio. We shared a place. And if we both didn't have a session, like, I guess we're just getting some really cheap whiskey and like drinking this week. Cause like, you can't just like face reality, cause you're just like, you get into that, like, I'm never going to work again. What am I even doing with my life? Oh my God, I need to go back to school. Just like total downward spiral.
Yeah, how many times have you come this close to quitting because you haven't had work in like a day?
When the first many years, like when I was in Vancouver, it was every 3 months I'd have like a huge life crisis and be like, is this realistic? Like, am I an idiot? Should I quit? Like, is there any point? And then just persistence. And
what do you think it is that enabled you to kind of persist? Like, I feel like maybe everybody's got a different answer.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't have any other ideas for things I like doing. Like, that's one thing. Like, I just literally can't think of another job that, like, even when I wasn't making very much, like, I just don't know what else I would do. Like I don't know. Like I like working with my hands. Like when I was in school, in high school, I thought maybe I'd be like an electrician or something. That was like my other career option in my head, which would be fine, I guess. I'd have to have a lot more hobbies, because like like electrician's like a skilled job, and like it would be interesting to a point, but like how many new scenario, I don't know. I feel like you'd hit a wall at some point unless you love part of the job so much that you don't think about. I don't know. I just like couldn't think of anything else that I wanted to do. I did quit at one point. I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I quit. And a buddy of mine from audio school had gotten a job at a like telecommunications company that sells internet and like phone cable and like stuff. And so he got me a job at a call center for this like kind of giant cable TV communications company. And I lasted like 3 months. I basically lasted through the training and then a week and a half of the job. And then one weekend I basically had like, not a breakdown, but I was like, just having a bad time. Like I'd gone through some personal family, trauma, like lost someone close to me and stuff. And it was kind of in a bit of a, like, a weird spot mentally. And I just was like, I don't think I can go back on Monday. The job's just so terrible. I just can't do it. And so I called my supervisor. And I was like, I'm not coming back. Bye. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? I was like, I can't do this job anymore. He's like, okay. I guess that's... Well, do you want your stuff? I was like, no, you can keep it. I'm just not coming back. And then I just like
So blunt.
went back to the studio and like kept trying to do that because I'd still been working on projects. But yeah, so it was like a 3 or 4 month stint where I got like a real job, like a pretty shitty, like people are calling because their internet doesn't work, so everyone's pissed off, or like the installer didn't show up, or like there was some crazy stories.
I know exactly what that job is.
It was insane. Like there was
I never worked it, but I know who I've called. You know?
Yeah. It's like, and people are dicks. I don't know, you know, it's like no one thinks about it. You're like,
Of course.
like I'm like this. I got hired 3 months ago. I don't have any, and I don't care about this company either. Like, what do you want? You know, I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
People just like,
Have you seen that? There's like there's like TikTok or Instagram reel of this guy that's like, you know, replying to people at IKEA. It's like, you think I own IKEA? Go somewhere else. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly. He's like, I don't know. I'm not invested in this. I'm just trying to pay rent. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know what else I would do. And I like it. Like I like what I'm doing. You know, there's better weeks than others as any job. It's like, it's all about mentality. I don't know. I've honestly the last 6 years I got really into like listening to kind of motivational podcasts and like athlete, like there's a guy Rich Roll who has a big podcast I listen to, and like Tim Ferriss is one that a lot of people probably know. He has a lot of guests on that are interesting. Just like any of that kind of stuff. There's like a few others of just things where it's like listening to people that are quote unquote successful talk about their life story or their past or how they got to where they are. I find just getting a lot of that kind of input really helps me in life in general, and especially with this job, to like stay the course and realize, like, you know, if you're having a bad week, my bad week is a million times better than most people's bad week at whatever job they're doing. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
someone's paying me to listen to a song, even if it's like a terrible song, it's still, I can find something I like about it. Like maybe there's the snare drum sounds cool, or maybe I totally fixed maybe the bass sound was awful before and I made it like pretty good, you know, like, I don't know, there's just gravitate towards a thing, or maybe I did a cool thing with the vocal, or you can always find something fun in every song, even if it's maybe not the kind of music you'd listen to normally, or, you know, it's part of like the being an easygoing person is like, I can find things I like in most situations, or like, you know?
Yeah. There's always like a redeeming quality to the song. I think in mixing, it's easier to kind of do that than necessarily in production.
100%.
But like,
yeah, I mean,
but yeah, there's always something that you can kind of like latch on and be like, okay, cool, we're gonna make this song, this aspect of the song awesome, and like, you know, I'm able to focus on that. And
yeah, and it's just like
I'm having a good time.
Yeah, as long as you buy into what the thing you're doing, it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to kind of think about something and be like, I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I wish this was different. But if you think like that, it's just like a negative downward spiral. It's going to make everything worse. You're not going to do good work. But if you just think like, okay, this artist loves this song, the producer loves this song, this is like they worked on it for a year or whatever. Okay, like I love this song. Like how do we make this song great? You know, just like change your mindset about your perception of what you're working on to think of it from their perspective. It helps me.
Yeah, I like that. The buying in, you know what I mean? You're invested in the song with them.
Yeah, it's like you're doing it, so you might as well just do the best you can at the thing you're doing, and you know, figure out how to care. I guess. Yeah,
I love that. That's great. Yeah, it's a great takeaway, and that's something that I definitely agree with you on. And I don't know if this was ever a problem for me, but I know it's a problem for a lot of people. Of just like, oh, it's just so annoying. I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah.
You know, but like, you know, if you choose to do the job to the, you know, to nth degree. Do what you were hired to do, and own that. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
You know
that and that's part of the boomer being raised by that generation, for me at least. Like I had like a self-employed mom who's like a really hard worker, and like I got that from her. It was just like, and my grandpa was like that, like, just, you know, it's like measure twice, cut once, like do the job well. If you could say yes to do something, do a good job. Don't half-ass it. If you're not going to do a good job, don't say yes.
Yeah. So important. Yeah, I love it. But I do have a few more questions, and I also don't want to let you go before we do the Saw segment.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So you sent me a song called Sad AF by Jade.
Yeah.
So now we're going from the millennial to the Gen Z.
Exactly.
I guess, with that kind of terminology.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you sent me the song. So let's have a listen to it for about 90 seconds, and we'll talk a little bit about what went into it. Sound cool?
Sure.
Saw this coming. just coexisting, ignoring all our problems. Isn't gonna solve them, but you still wake up next to me. I play it off like I'm cool, I make it look like we're good. Everyone asking about you, smile it off like I should. Can't get away from the truth, I wish this feeling was new. When I get thinking of you, I'm sad as fuck. It might look like love, so why is this so tough? Yeah, I'm fighting too much, not talking enough. Yeah, this feeling sucks. Yeah, I'm sad. Talk is though we're healing, like it's what we're needing, but we just keep repeating words that lost their meaning. Ignoring all our problems isn't gonna solve them, but you still wake up next to me. I play it off like I'm cool, I make it look like we're good. Everyone asking about you, smile it off like I should.
Yeah, man, sounds awesome. The low end knocks, and vocal sounds great.
Sweet, thanks.
Yeah, just a great mix.
I mean, it was a good production. But okay, so yeah, I picked this one. The main reason is like it's not a satisfying answer probably, because it probably talking about technical stuff or what approach I use is the most interesting. But for this song was special to me because one, the client is one of my favorites. I love her. One side note, when we talked earlier about how to find clients or get work, if you can make friends as a mixer or producer, make friends with songwriters. Good songwriters know other good songwriters who are doing writing sessions with good artists, like in the genre you're in. Like, just especially it's more in pop, obviously, like rock, not so much. But anyone I've been introduced to through a songwriter has always ended up being a client that I love, that always like is doing consistently good work and like pushing the boundaries and, you know, hustling, and the songs get plays and stuff. But yeah, so she's great. I like her a lot. This one was special because I mixed this. I hate talking about the pandemic because it's not a timeless conversation, but this one happened. Basically, we had the big like start of the scare of what is happening, and there was a day at the studio where we're all like, shit, like should we go home? Like, it became like a real thing really quick. And so we all, except for the main mastering engineer, because it's his studio, obviously, we're like, okay, we're all just going to move our shit home and work from home for the next couple weeks because we don't know what's happening. Like, the city's shutting down. It's like getting crazy. No one knows what's going on. And then she calls me. She's like, hey, I got the song to mix. And it was like as I was moving, like that day, she's like, can you mix a song this week? I'm like, totally. Obviously, can do it, whatever, sure.
It's like so, March 15th, 2020. You know?
Like I looked in my Dropbox to see, and this was March 18th, the first mix. And so
my wife's birthday is March 15th.
That's why you remember
that was like the day we shut. That was the day we shut down.
Yeah.
I'm also a March birthday guy.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
But yeah, so it was like
March. Always remember March days.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it was one of those surreal days where you're like, okay, something crazy is happening. I still have to work. We were in a 2-bedroom place, and my wife was using the second bedroom as her full-time office because she was already doing her own thing, and like she owns a podcast and does videos. Like, she needs the space, right? And we have no other rooms. We're in like a little townhouse there's no rooms. It's a tiny Toronto place. And so I was in the dining room, which is basically just like open concept beside the kitchen, small room. I had a pair of NS10s that I wasn't using that much. I brought those home with me. I put them up and really quickly remembered that untreated rooms sound awful. And also that room doesn't even have a door. So like there's no soundproofing. Like I couldn't really play music loud enough. So I basically had to mix on, I brought my like Google Max speaker I use sometimes home with me, and then headphones. And I was like, well, I have to get it done. So I just did it with what I had and like referenced a bunch, and I think it turned out great. It still sounds really good. The production was great, which helped, but basically it was like a lesson for me. And it's like, don't get too caught up on gear or like having the right thing. Like, as long as you have to have, like, I came from a place where I know what sounds good, and like it's been several years into that point. So I know how to drive the bus already, but you know, it's like, I mixed it on like some whatever headphones I had at home and this Google speaker, and checked it on my AirPods a bunch. And actually that one, I don't even think it got mastered by someone else. I think I did the final master because there was either no time or budget. And so I was like, I hope this is good. You know what I mean? And it worked out fine, but it was stressful. But like, so basically just, that's the biggest thing is like, you don't need you know, I didn't have my ATCs. I didn't have